Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to this episode of Two Girls, One Doc.
One Doc.
It's your girl, BD.
It is Foreign's the foodie.
And we are back with a credits.
We're back with a credit.
Credits episodes are where we talk about whatever we want. And today, we want to talk about this documentary, Channel 4 documentary that Foreign actually suggested we watch ages ago.
This was basically the documentary version of a podcast I'd listened to already.
Yeah.
Maybe I sent you the podcast.
I heard there was a podcast about it, yeah. It's called Miriam, the Death of a Reality Star. And there's a lot of interesting themes. There's a lot to discuss.
There is. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but you guys should listen to the podcast. I cannot remember what it's called, and let me see if I can get podcasts on my Mac, because if I go to it, it's going to cut off the recording, but it doesn't show me my shows. Oh, okay, well, there you go. Interesting.
Why don't you just Google it?
Oh, yeah. It's called Harsh Reality, the story of Miriam Rivera. It's really, really good. It's hosted by, if you've watched that movie J-Lo did recently, the one where she was a stripper or exotic dancer. There's a woman that's in that movie, and she's really, really tall, beautiful brown hair. It's hosted by her. She's also trans. She's been in quite a few things, actually. She's an actress. So, yeah, she hosted it. It's really, 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 really good. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And this was just like the documentary version of it. It had everything was the same, basically.
Was there anything different or any more information in one than the other?
I think no, there wasn't. It's just no, there actually wasn't. It was actually the exact same. Like, if you deduce as much here as there. Like, they had her friends in it, they had her family, okay. They followed her life. It was the same. Yeah, okay, it's just cool. Obviously with a documentary, it's visual. Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, I thought the documentary was good as well. I thought that, like, it's just a really sad story. Like, by the end of it, you're just kind of like, rah, like, it's crazy to go through essentially like the trajectory of her life and like peaks and troughs and like eventually, like, you know, the end. It was really sad.
It was definitely sad, and you're just thankful for the fact that we've moved somewhat away from that time, because the stuff they were saying, the things that were acceptable, and like British reality TV, I'm sorry, it was like notoriously bad. Like, looking back at it now, there's so much that was happening in that 2000 and like early 2000s essentially, and it was so bad. And like, they even say in the documentary that the whole thing with reality TV back then was about like pushing boundaries and like trying to, you know, like get the craziest thing happen on your show and stuff like that. Yeah, because even the whole premise of the show, so if you haven't seen it, basically it's about this girl called Miriam. She's trans. The show that she's on is called There's Something About Miriam. I actually watched this show.
Did it air?
Yeah.
Oh, it did, of course, yeah, because after
I watched it with my parents. That was when we were peak, like, EastEnders, this, that. Like, we would sit as a family. We watched it together. I remember I have such vivid memories of that show. And I remember even then thinking, oh my gosh, like, she's so beautiful.
She's beautiful.
The way these lot are moving is mad. Something is off. Like, I never had that thought of, like, I literally, even then, and I must have been quite young, maybe like 7, 8, I remember thinking, like, yeah, these lot are moving mad.
What? I was in the producers?
No, I don't know if I really understood the concept of producers, but more the guy's reaction to her.
Oh, fine. Yeah, because, like, so she's trans, right? And the whole idea is like, oh, they don't know that she's trans, and they're on a dating show trying to win 10k and a week on a yacht with her. And also, I went to go and like Google the calculations. 10k then is like 20k now, and that was 2003.
That's a decent amount of money, though.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying that as in that's like the equivalent of them winning 20k.
Yeah, 100%. That's good money.
But yeah, like, Miriam, like, I'm sorry, but when people get so up in arms about like, oh, trans women, like, I'm attracted to a trans woman, I'm gay, it's like, Miriam, I'm sorry,
is one of the most beautiful women I've seen in my life. Okay,
she's beautiful, the most cisgendered women.
And I'm like, if you are attracted to someone, even if you're attracted to, if you see a drag queen, yeah, and you're attracted to a drag queen, yeah, and you are attracted to the female form because that's what they're presenting, you're attracted to it, someone who looks like a woman, yeah, how does that make you gay?
It's just a warped,
I don't understand
transphobic way of thinking. And don't get it twisted. Look, at the end of the day, everyone should love who they want to love. If you feel like for you prefer a certain type of genitalia in the bedroom, look, that's great, but it doesn't make you gay for finding a trans woman attractive, because
and I get like wanting to know, like, I guess one of the main things of this show is one, like, basically it's just a big massive joke at the expense of the cast and also Miriam, and then it's also a case of like, you're not consenting to doing these things with someone who's trans, right? Like, you don't have all the information. Someone mentions informed consent, and it's like, you don't have all the information before you...
I think, do you know what, I don't want to be reductive about that experience, but
for who? For the guys?
Yeah. Because obviously you have to put the time into context. Like, we can't talk about this without putting that time in context. Yeah. But then at the same time, like, people, like, I get it, but one, we have to understand, like, it can be harmful for trans women to come out and say, look, I'm trans.
Absolutely.
And especially if things are not going into I get it with the Miriam side of things, because they're actually courting her. So from that perspective, you're courting with hopes of a relationship.
Yes, and as much as I say that, I do also think that, like, you're on a reality show, so it's like anything can happen. Do you get what I mean?
Anything can happen, but the lack of consent there is...
It's like, it's informed. You don't know. You don't even know to make that decision. But obviously, and what bothers me about it is that they know that, the producers know that they wouldn't consent, and therefore they on purpose that's the whole premise of the show, they're on purpose hiding it from them.
If they thought they would be fine with it, if they had brought together a bunch of pansexual men, then there would be no show, because everyone would be like, oh yeah, okay, like, that's cool. Fine. But because I think, though, like, when it comes to this whole consenting thing and stuff like that, I feel like if we're not actually having sex, then, like, maybe I'm being reductive, because if I went to a club and I was single and I lipsed a guy and then he came out and was like to me, oh yeah, like, I'm trans, I'd probably be like, oh, like, that's cool, it just isn't going to work for us, like, because I obviously am not attracted, or I don't want XYZ.
But then, like, you were attracted. Do you get what I mean? Like, so with these guys,
I want this kind of, this is what I want in a,
like, sexually.
Yes, sexually. So this isn't going to work. But off lipsing, like, what's the big deal? Like, I don't. Do you know what I get? I mean, I understand the context of this show specifically, but when people say, like, consent in general, because these conversations come up now.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I know someone who recently went to, like, Thailand and was like, yeah, like, I'm not gonna, when I get there, like, I'm just gonna keep myself to myself because you genuinely don't do it. And I was like, I hear it, like, yeah, you don't, like, it's more like there are a lot of trans women in Thailand, but, like, at the end of the day, like, if you lips, like, it's not, do you know what I mean? Like, does it really...
But then it depends on the person, because that's like saying, like, okay, cool, I'm dating you, I don't tell you that I'm married, yeah, and then we lips, and it's like, okay, yeah, like, I just lips him, it's not that deep. So to someone it's that deep.
There's a cheat. I mean, I get, and
obviously it's different because it's not cheating. Well, I mean, it can be. I'm not saying that trans people don't cheat.
I just feel like, and it's important to say, it just comes from a place of there's a hint of being problematic.
Yes, yeah, ultimately, and this is what I was going to say. Like, ultimately, yeah, it's even the phrasing, because a lot of the time, like, in this show, they're like, oh, she's a man, I think she's a man, she's really a man, and it's like,
she used those words herself, and also I think it's a reflection of, she said, but I thought she used her own words.
So
when she came out,
did the reveal, yeah, the sexy guy, the sexy psychologist Gareth, he was like, oh, that was scripted for her to say, oh, I'm really a man.
I thought he was saying she said those were her own words.
No, they weren't. It was scripted, and that's how she came out and said that, yeah, I'm really a man. Why would I say that? Like, I'm not a man. Like, I'm a trans woman.
No, I agree. It's just, I mean, to be honest, like, we can look back and critique the the show now, but yeah, the times are so, you can't look at it. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. It
made sense with the time.
Yeah, even the way the guys behave, like, if you compare those men to the guys you see on Love Island, it's a different vibe. Not to say that they're not equally as whatless, but
yeah, I was gonna say the way tapped.
No, tapped is tapped, of course, but the way, even the leeriness, the lad culture is different now to what it was then.
I also think it's different in terms of Love Island because, like, there is that lad culture, but obviously there are women there. Like, this show is literally 6 guys, like lads, yeah, and then 1 woman, and it's like they're competing for that 1 woman. So then there's a lot of like testosterone and like type of like stuff going on. Like when they did the reveal, and this is why like the way people react to stuff just fuels reactions, okay?
Yeah.
Because when Miriam revealed that she's trans, the guy who won, you could see he was shocked, okay? Which anybody would be shocked. Cool, me too, I would be shocked because it's like, rah, I didn't know this. This is a big deal and I wasn't expecting it, But then the people in the back, the other contestants are like sniggering and laughing and they make it worse. Do you get what I mean? And also one of them had already suspected that she was trans. So he was in the back like, oh, I knew it. I was just like, bro.
Yeah, they made it worse. Which is, as always, and then you stop being embarrassed about, oh, this or this. Like, his reaction probably would have been a bit different if they weren't all there.
Absolutely. And
it's it would have been because people are making fun of you.
Yeah, and it's like, even if you like yourself, okay, you're not ready to be a trans person, or that's not your vibe, fine. But you maybe then would, your feelings towards trans people maybe wouldn't be so like hostile, or maybe you kind of be like, look, you got along with her, you had no inkling that she was trans, like you were attracted to her, so now all of a sudden and I get that they were upset with her because she lied to them, but also like this is the nature of the show. Like she was also a cast member of the show.
You knew that, and you knew there was going to be a twist, so
I don't know what they thought the twist would have been. Like, what else could it have been?
I mean, you don't think in that context, especially at that time.
Yeah,
could have been a number of
guys
things
like that.
Could have been that she was married. Could have been that she was bi. It could have been a number of.
That's true. But the fact that Toby guy suspected immediately, I was like, what happened? Or like, what did he see? Or what did he hear? Or what? Do you get what I mean? For him to think straight. Because I'm telling you, if I looked at Miriam, I would not think. Like, I would think that she was just a cisgender woman, a very pretty one. That was like popular in high school.
Maybe he just had the thought that, like, what else could be so crazy that they would whatever.
Yeah, but like you just said, it could have been she's married, it could have been she's bi.
Or maybe he saw something. I guess I don't know, because they kept her away from him deliberately, and I remember them saying on the podcast that they would deliberately keep her away from these guys.
The way the crew was moving.
Because they didn't want there to be any
chance of them discovering.
Yeah, it was. I mean, going on, if I went on it, I would have thought maybe she did like crazy surgery and this isn't actually what she looks like originally. I don't know. And also the fact
that she didn't have to do crazy surgery and she was that pretty, I was like, raw. But then she was taking hormones from when she was young, like 11. And
so that's why.
So this is the thing, she didn't do puberty, like that. And that's why, you know, sometimes there's like that debate between like, should kids be allowed to take hormone blockers and stuff like that. It's like, I get it, because you're a child, you know, this is a big decision to make, blah, blah, blah. But Miriam doing that, I was like, I can't lie, like, you niced yourself.
No, she ate down. And you always find that when people who are trans, when they start their like hormones earlier on, and they skip the puberty in their like born assigned gender, they always look more like the
gender
their
true gender.
You know, their true gender. They always look more like that. But it's a tough one, because I often think if it was my kid, I don't know that I wouldn't want. Listen, if it was my child, and my child is trans, I would be thinking, oh, this is a big deal. Like, blocking your hormones is a big deal. It's a big deal, and I don't know that I would be. I don't want to use the word allow, but it would be difficult for me because you are still young. Like, when I think of some of the things I wanted when I was even like as even recently 18. As literally, that's what I was about to say, as recently as like maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, like, it's very different from the things I want now. And some of those things, if I had gone down those paths, it would have been life-changing. So I am thankful that I didn't. But it's a young age, but I feel like also what you see in this documentary with Miriam, like, she always knew, like,
and this is what I mean. So because of that, like, her deciding to go on hormones at that age helped her in her journey, right? Like, had she delayed, maybe it would have been more difficult for her. Or like the other friend, like, that worked with her was like, she had to do so many surgeries to try and feminize her voice and feminize her face and all that stuff.
sidebar, that Nikki Exotica, yeah, she's so funny. She is on 90 Day Fiance.
Is it?
And she's dating this guy. I haven't even finished the season to know what's going on with them, from Moldova, who.
So wait, she's the American, and then the
guy's from Moldova. And he like is embarrassed to be with her because they're really, apparently Moldova is a really like small and judgmental country.
Oh, okay.
And like when they go out and stuff, and like he doesn't want to be intimate and all this. And it's kind of funny to me because it's like, if I saw her, my first thing wouldn't be like, oh, she's trans. It would be like, this is a woman that has had some really fucked up plastic surgery. Like, why did she do?
It gives botched.
Botched.
Yeah.
I think she's been on botched actually.
Wait, how many shows has she done?
Go. That would be my first thought. So I was like, he's worried about the wrong thing. To me, people are staring at her not because they think, oh, she's trans. They're staring at her because she's so striking because her surgery is so
bad.
Botched. Like, yeah. So it was funny.
Yeah, it was quite striking is the word. Shocking.
I feel like with these things as well, though, like, because you're having to change so much of yourself to get to a certain place, you like, it's difficult to know when to stop. When
to feel like. But then it's a similar thing with like weight loss or with like plastic surgery. Like, you have to, the mental has to be right as well. Otherwise, like, you're just gonna, like you said, you're not gonna know when to stop. There's gonna be no end. You're gonna keep chasing this thing that you're after,
and you're always gonna think, like, I've listened to so many podcasts, documentaries from people who are trans, and they always say like they have this fear of like if they're passing. So you always feel like, oh, if I just do this, I'm gonna pass more and this. But really, there was a point where you could have stopped. Even the other friend, the one that she was dancing with in Mexico, her old picture looked so.
Do you know who she was like? Hold on.
I think I know
the Spanish one.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me see if I got the right person. She looks like Alexis Mateo. That's who she looks like.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
She's a drag queen from Drag Race. She literally looks exactly like Alexis Mateo. Google Alexis Mateo. She looks exactly like her, and she sounds like her. They have the same, like, the way they talk, the same cadence, everything.
Oh, really?
I was like, girl, Alexis, is that you?
Oh yeah, she does.
She does, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought it was her at first. I said, okay. But yeah, I think sometimes people don't know when to stop.
Put the knife down, yeah.
Yeah, put it down. But you know, the first time I watched this, I thought I had watched all 3 episodes, but I think I had just watched 2, maybe just 2. So then when that 3rd episode started, I was like, oh,
what?
Yeah. I thought it was going to be like a little cheeky round off the series. Like, the TV show part of it is actually nada. Like, the TV show bit happened when she was 21. And like, Miriam dies when she's 38. So there's a whole bunch of life left. And it's just so sad. Like, it's just so sad. I was watching it with my mum, and we were just talking, and then, like, my mum is a very Nigerian Igbo woman, yeah? And she was just like, yeah, like, this is really sad. And I was like, look, as much as people don't like OnlyFans or sex work and all that kind of stuff, I do feel like there is some kind of good in sex workers being able to take control of their work these days through apps, or be able to do their sex work from home, because there's a safety there that like a pimp cannot exploit, or it's harder for a pimp to exploit.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, loads of trans people, like, this is just something that they are like almost destined to, that they have to do to get by or to afford what they need. Literally,
a lot of the older school trans people, like, in terms of like, they transitioned when, you know, the world was less accepting, all of them will say they did sex work at some point. Even I was listening to an episode on this trans queen from the ballroom scene. What was her name? Dorian Corey. So she was like this trans ballroom dancer, like, you know, the whole scene, like voguing and everything. And when she died, they found like a mummified corpse in her cupboard.
What?
Yeah, it's
wait,
really
she was the corpse, or she died and they found a corpse?
She died and they found a corpse. I mean, the guy whose corpse it was just a shit guy. But anyways, either way, I mean, the story they assume is that he tried to attack her during like they were lovers. He tried to attack her and then she shot him. But either way,
shut up, her for getting away with that, boy.
Yeah, either way, I was listening to a podcast on it, and like it had excerpts from Paris is Burning, which is a documentary.
Oh, that's a great documentary.
And it was just different like drag queens talking about how like everybody pretty much in the scene had done sex work because it was the only way. Yeah. You couldn't get, like, they had no rights. You couldn't go and get a job. You could, if you did, then you had to hide who you were.
Exactly.
And it was only a matter of time before you got. So and this is why, like, when Miriam's dad was talking, it was just like, I don't have a kid, but I know for sure that I don't understand how your love, how your bigotry or whatever can surpass the love you have for your child.
I don't understand it.
Unless my child is like literally a nonce.
No, but the thing is that people, their kids are nonces, their kids are killers, their kids are fraudsters, and they still love them. They're still bailing them out of jail. They're still enabling them. But your child is gay or your child is trans, that's where you draw the line.
And that's where you draw the line.
Even the auntie on the show that was like, oh, if my child was a trans, I'll poison them.
Because they had to have asked her if she feels comfortable with them using her image for this documentary that came out, wasn't it this year or so?
Yeah.
Even if it came out in the past 5 years.
It came out in April.
Okay, and she must have said yes. So that means she still holds those views, because if it was
I don't know. Well, she probably doesn't have the rights to the show. They probably asked whoever owns the rights to the show, hey, can we use this?
But can you put someone's face?
She
like
probably
that?
signed those rights away when she decided to be on that show, so then they could use that on this show.
They should disgrace her, poison and kill your child.
Even my mum was like, nah, what the hell? My mum said to me, she's like, does she know that we can hear her? I was like, bro, that's insane, because if she has kids, they need to take them away, because they are one move away from you poisoning them.
Because basically what you're saying is, if there's any way of
anything
life
that you don't like, then you're gonna poison your kid. That was insane. But yeah, I don't understand it either. Like, I don't understand how you have a child. And Miriam's dad is in a documentary, and like he refers to Miriam as him for.
So does her mom as well. It's really
for the vast majority of the documentary. But the dad only refers to her she in the end when he has his like come to Jesus moment. But the mum does more so. Yeah. Like, that's her daughter. Do you know what I mean? But the dad, like I can understand not understanding something, right? Like, when you're not familiar with something, maybe you feel a bit uncomfortable or whatever. But that's your child. Like, that's your child. So what? Now you don't love me. Now you don't talk to me. Now your child is dead and you're crying about it, about how you lost all those years.
And Miriam must have been a really good person, because even after all of that, she still would send money back and take care of her family. Yeah.
She didn't deserve that, man. She really didn't deserve that.
No, she didn't. And this is why, like, it's important to protect people from marginalized groups, because at the end of the day, like, I was going to say all lives matter, but not in that context. But I hope I make sense. But people's lives matter regardless of, like, if you share characteristics, if you don't.
They should matter,
and this is what happens when people don't have access to the infrastructure they should do, or the infrastructure cisgendered white people do, and they're not protected, and there aren't laws. Like, they have to operate on the fringes of society.
And they're not represented in mainstream media.
Yeah, it's dangerous out there. Like, it's so dangerous.
And you know what it is as well? Like, you know, you might not be out there like stoning trans people or being mean trans people or whatever, but for example, when that show came out, when all the media coverage and everything came out and people were laughing and kikiing and ha 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 and all that shitting on trans people, if I'm a trans person and I see how my colleagues are discussing this, I see how my friends are discussing this, I see how my family are discussing this, that lets me know how you really feel about people like me, whether you know I'm a person like that or not. Do you know what I mean?
It's like those tweets people say that,
your fat friend might not see
this, but your friend might see it.
No, for real. Do you know what I mean?
It's true. Yeah,
it's just like, I don't know. It's just like British tabloids always been shit, but British tabloids in the early 2000s, God, Rupert Murdoch was making shmoney.
Shmoney. Do you know what? Yeah, I don't know how you guys feel, but even recently, I feel like with this Sonia Macy murder.
Where did that happen? Was that America?
Yeah,
Sonia Macy. Yeah, of course.
Massey, sorry. This feels to me how George Floyd felt. I feel the same way I felt when when the George Floyd thing happened. I know that was compounded by the fact that we were in lockdown.
We were stuck inside.
Yeah. So definitely like I've had more time to dwell on it, but like I felt so heavy. And going to work and everyone just is getting on. Nobody, not to say that, oh, you shouldn't work. Of course, work. But nobody's saying anything. There's
just knowing that life goes on. No one gives a fuck.
Nobody is acknowledging. Nobody's thinking about the impact it could have on, like, you as it's crazy. And this is why representation is important in all areas of life, because people need to know the things to say, the things to do, the things to even to understand that, oh yeah, like it would be heavy for you as a black woman, like consuming that content, being aware that this happened to someone. Like the video is there. Like sometimes you hear, like with Sandra Bland, like, yeah, we saw stuff and we're like, yeah, this is problematic, but to witness it from inception to the end where this woman was shot, and you can literally see like she did nothing, and then after shooting her, this guy is asking his colleague, are you okay? Of course he's fucking okay, because all she had was a pot of boiling water that was so far away from you, and she was begging you, and she had put it down.
And what's the worst that would have happened? What's the worst that would have happened if she threw the water on you? You would have got burned. That's the worst that would have happened.
But you killed her. You fucking killed her. And even if she had thrown the water at you, it's not justifiable to shoot her.
But this is what I'm saying. It's like, it's not it's a disproportionate response. How many times? Like, are you people not trained to de-escalate?
This is why it's just so important. People don't get it, but it's so important. Yeah, it's.
I saw, you know how there was that police officer in Manchester that like kicked the person in the head?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know about the racism on those people, but the reason I'm bringing this example is to point out like police brutality, right? So, and the stupidity in the public. So I saw this Twitter interaction, and then someone was like, this is just crazy, like there's no need, the person's already been subdued, they're on the floor, there's no need to kick them in the head. Like, do you know how mad that is to kick someone in the head? Yeah. And the person was like, oh well, he deserved it, if he wasn't doing what he was doing, then that wouldn't have happened in the first place. He can't attack a woman, expect nothing to happen. Not saying go and attack whoever, yeah, but since you've done the attack now, they have restrained you, yeah, cool. And then the guy was like, oh well, I hope you feel the same way when it's you getting kicked in the head by police. He said, well then if that's the case, then I deserved it.
Okay, well you did, you deserve it either way, you deserve it right this instance, haven't done nothing wrong. So
I said, girl, what the heck? Yeah. Like, what is wrong with people? I think people think that like they don't understand like that an action should have an equal and opposite reaction. Okay, yeah. Like this is not equal. It's not equal.
Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah,
it's just so sad. It's proper sad. There's a bit with Miriam where like, so obviously she does the show and then she kind of capitalizes on the show, and it's like, oh, I'm that girl, because the show airs on MTV, and she's like, oh, I'm that girl, yeah. And I'm like, great, like I get it.
Live your life.
Yeah, do what you have to do. She goes to Vegas, and I think it's in Vegas that everything kind of just starts to go belly up, because they start talking about human traffickers, and it's like, once you start talking about human traffickers, yeah, we're in too deep.
You need to get out.
We can never come out. We cannot escape.
And that's why it's important to love your kids, because if she had stability and like a
trust going back home.
Yep.
But also she was like the breadwinner. I mean, I don't know what her parents were doing, but she was sending money back home, like a lot of people who move abroad. Yeah, well, I say abroad, it's across the road, but like she's sending money back home. So it's almost like she's not just doing it for yourself. Obviously she kind of was, because she bought very expensive shit, yeah, but live her life, sis, yeah. But she's also sending money back home, so they were depending on her. So it's like, so you almost have
the dad was okay taking that money.
Okay,
nonsense, man.
Okay, her brother seemed really cool though.
Yeah, the one brother that was in it.
Yeah, he seemed really cool.
I think he was giving me
leg
like
booty.
Yeah. So I was like, of course, like you would be aligned, which is great. But,
yeah, you'd be aligned, yeah. I don't know, the dad crying at the end just pissed me off.
Yeah, it pissed me off.
It actually pissed me off.
And it's like, she's been dead for ages, so why are you suddenly crying? And you started off the documentary with Vim.
Crying. I'm sure that he's like been crying.
But he started the documentary off with Vim. That's the point.
Yes, he did. But the thing is, yeah, when it comes to that, I feel like he had to tell his story the way that he felt. And I'm sure that I feel like he still feels that way, yeah. He still feels that way. But he now has, like, if she was alive, he wouldn't be where he is. He only has regret because she's no longer alive, and it's like, oh, this is so dumb, like I didn't have to do this way. But if she was alive, I reckon he would still be feeling the way that he claims he felt. He needs to go and do workshops for parents of
he just needs to go and drink himself to a stupor. There's no helping people like that. I feel like he's too far gone.
but then I don't know, sometimes I like to think that there's like hope for people again with like representation, like you see someone.
I don't think so, because it's not just about that person's mentality. You have to understand, like, it's like who generational
and their community,
cultural, their community. That's what I mean. Like for me, I grew up, and I've said this before, not grew up, but growing up, I was homophobic, like, because at that time
homophobia was the norm.
Yeah, it was the norm. It was what I knew. And then obviously you're from an African background where you're told this is wrong. So
and they're so casually homophobic as well.
Yeah, it's so casual. It doesn't even whatever. And then I went to boarding school in Nigeria, and like obviously there, like it's even worse. So I grew up but I unlearned it because the generation I was in, the people I was hanging, like culturally but if you don't have that unlearning experience, which has to come from external factors, it's never going to happen. Like he is in like a village in Mexico.
I mean, I get it, but also you wanted it to happen, right?
I wouldn't say I wanted it. I didn't wake up and be like, oh, I don't want to be this way. It was more just like that's the exposure.
You weren't opposed to it happening, because some people will be like, all right, cool. Maybe they're around some gay people, or they're in spaces where they can like be exposed to this representation of the queer community, and they are adamant that no, like I'm going to. Do you get what I mean? I'm going to stand in my shit, kind of thing. I don't know. Like I get it, like he wasn't exposed, he was, but all of that gets cancelled out with, but that was your child. It's not like it was your neighbour's kid and you're like, oh, that's a fucking weirdo. No, this was your kid, so regardless, that's in your face. Like now, you need to understand what's going on.
The bigotry outweighs
everything.
That.
It cancels out
even
everything.
the auntie that's sitting there, the bigotry for her outweighs her love for her child,
and which is insane.
Which is what I don't get. Which is these people shouldn't be having kids.
Exactly,
because unless your child is literally evil or a nonce, like. There is nothing. You should be able to always love.
If your child is a danger to others, then perhaps you need to be a bit like, "Ooh, what's going on here?" Do you know what I mean?
But even at that, you'd still love your child. You just put them away.
Okay, so I watched this. I started watching this show. Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. We have to pay for it. Anyway, it's called Accused. Yeah, and I think it was initially a British series, but the Americans did it. It's like Black Mirror in terms of like no episodes are connected, but the premise is the same, kind of. So. Each episode follows like a case. Someone is on trial, and it's just about whether they get convicted or not. So there's this one episode where the dad is on trial for I think for the murder of his son. No, not for the murder of his son. The dad is on trial for enabling his son to commit a school shooting. His trial is, you supplied the money with which he used to buy the weapons to commit this heinous crime. Earlier in this child's life, the parents had identified that, this is a fucking weirdo. This guy's weird. He's an incel. He hates women. He hates everybody. He's dangerous. Yeah. So the dad kind of is like, I have to kill this boy, because if I don't kill him, he's going to kill other people. Yeah.
That is a hop jump.
I mean, it didn't seem too crazy when I watched the show. I was like, yeah, obviously you got to kill him. Like, I was like, you have to kill him. What do you mean? Why are we even discussing this? Yeah. So he takes him to some camping. Oh yeah, spoilers. He takes him to some like camping trip with the aim to kill him. Yeah. So the way that the show unfolds, you see that he's on trial in the beginning, but you don't know what for. You know the son is dead, but you don't know how. So as the story unfolds, he takes him to this camping trip, and obviously you're thinking, okay, cool. He kills the boy. He's now on trial for killing the boy. He doesn't kill the boy. He tries. He's going to, but he doesn't, right? So they come back. They have a come to Jesus moment. Fine. Then it turns out the boy's like, yeah, I've got a business deal with my friend. Like, I would need money for that. Like, please, can you help me? The dad gives him money. He takes that money, buys guns, does a school shooting.
Well, but that's different from like enabling. I get it, like he gave him the money, but you give your kid pocket money, what they do with
no, exactly. I don't think he should have been convicted. I don't remember if he was convicted or not, but I don't think that means you should be convicted. You're not complicit in that. But you know how law is in America and all that stuff. So yeah, that was that case. But I say that to say, why did I say all that? Oh, he should have killed him. Like, at that point, your child is a danger. I hear wanting to not be around that child. But your child being trans, like, your child can be trans and be a danger. I'm not saying that trans people are perfect, yeah? But in this case, your child was just trans. So are you telling me you can't love your child? Your trans child. Your child.
This is the thing. So it's all a mess. Yeah.
It's all a mess. I felt nothing for him. I said, fuck you, man, and your tears.
100%. And like I said, I think Miriam would still be alive if she had had a better
support system.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, the turn that I didn't see this taking is like the speculation on her death, because from what I remember, she died by suicide, right? They're saying that she hung herself, but people were like, well, she hung herself, but there was nothing for her to have stood on to do it, so like, how did this happen?
And then she had the hand thing as well.
Yeah, so she'd been beaten up really, really, really bad. Again, trans people and the chance, like the increased chance of facing violence, like physical violence, is insane. Yeah, this woman was beaten up so badly. Like, when we see the pictures of her in the hospital, I'm just like, how can one person do this to another person?
Literally,
that's like, someone who's not a paedophile. How can somebody, someone who's not a sex offender, how can somebody do this to somebody else? That is self-hatred if I ever did see it. Yeah. I was like, that's insane. So because of that, her left arm was kind of fucked. Yeah. And so her boyfriend, was it her boyfriend, the Daniel guy? I don't remember, the old guy.
He says he was her boyfriend, but people say
I think that he was just one. Okay, he was on a raster. But so he was like, yeah, like, how is she gonna be able to like do everything that is required to hang yourself? How can you do that when she had like that disability now? So it was just so. And then there were stories about like animals being sacrificed and like human traffickers, and I was just like, this is insane.
It's insane. Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird. They didn't talk about Tom guy that won it, but I remember on the podcast, I think something happened to him. I can't remember what though.
Something like what? Is he not alive?
I don't know if he is. Let me see. Or if he just went into hiding.
It's just so sad because this documentary just brings it all back up. Like, imagine you're actually living your life. You've got your kids, your 3-bedroom house, like you've got your job, and then this comes to light. But I'm hoping in this day and age, it won't be so like bad. It won't be so looked down upon.
Oh, he's alive.
What's he doing now?
He's been traveling with his girlfriend of 5 years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he's okay.
He was gonna be.
Yeah. Anyways, I would say watch the documentary.
I would as well. It was very informative. If you are transphobic, homophobic, or have such tendencies, I think you should watch it. But I'd assume that you wouldn't be listening to this. But yeah, I think you should watch this.
And I also don't know if it would spur them on the more. Who knows? So
yeah, it's a really good documentary. R.I.P. Miriam, man. It's so sad. It's so sad, man.
I just imagine that if she was still alive, she would have been an icon as well.
Honestly, like, she would have been on the Renaissance tour.
Yeah, the world lost something in her, for real.
100%. But yeah, next week we are doing. So okay, I'm gonna say what we're doing, and I'm gonna play the trailer. But like, I haven't watched it yet. I don't know if you've watched it yet. So this is subject to change.
Okay, so we changed it. This is BD from the edit. We decided instead that we are going to do a documentary called Movie Pass, Movie Crash. And then the documentary we were going to do, which you'll hear about in a second, we will do at a later date. So yeah, I'll leave the trailer for this one at the end. And yeah, enjoy.
But someone suggested we do this on TikTok. It's called The Apartheid Killer, Exposing the Ghost of South Africa's Past. So yeah, it's a BBC News documentary. It's on BBC Africa Eye, who are responsible for the Sex for Grace documentary that we did ages and ages ago, which was a great episode. I will link it in the show notes. So you can watch that as well, get ahead of the game. And yeah, we will.
And the House Helps episode as well.
Oh yeah, the Hidden Lives of Housegirls. Yes. Oh yeah, they did do that one too. Yes. Did they do the Chibok one, or was that was just a news?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They did.
See, look at that. Shout out BBC.
But that was barely a documentary.
That was a news clip actually. But yeah, in the meantime, between time, you can find us everywhere: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, 2 Girls 1 Doc. And you can find us. I'm going to start putting our episodes back on YouTube actually. So if you're trying to recommend this to someone and they don't have Spotify, they don't have Apple, whatever, then just send them over to YouTube. Okay.
Yeah, it's there on YouTube.
And then you can find us on TikTok, 2 Girls 1 Doc podcast. You can email us 2girls1doc@gmail.com. Let us know what you want us to cover, what you're interested in, how you feel, blah blah blah. You can find us individually: Instagram, Twitter, 4Ns the Foodie. You can find me on Instagram, BD on eyewear, and on TikTok, BD.mp4.
All right, guys, it's been real.
It's been real, and I'm tired than a mug.
All right, bye.
Movie Pass, a subscription service, the Netflix for the movie theater.
Say wow, blow,
was the greatest thing ever.
MoviePass.
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 The popular movie ticket app.
MoviePass. We remember them. Whatever happened to those guys?
We thought this could reinvigorate the movie-going business.
Any movie, any theater, any day.
I went to the movie theater 428 times.
MoviePass doubled the revenue in theaters.
We were worth $80 million plus.
We had a product that no one could stop.
Mitch was making a toast, and he said, "Mark my words, everyone's gonna be rich."
They just spend.
Going to Coachella, partying with Big Boy, John Travolta.
50 Cent!
They burned through $250 million. Whoa.
Meanwhile, there weren't extension cords to plug our computers into.
There were hundreds of thousands of customer service tickets.
A customer sent a box of shit to the office.
I was like, we need to pump the brakes a little bit.
I just thought that it would be better if he wasn't a part of the team.
He's like the heart of MoviePass.
The deeper you got in, the more you realized
all of this was part of a bigger story.
A lot of times when they talk about MoviePass, you usually get a picture of Mitch and Ted, but that's definitely not the case.
It is an endless list of, oh my God, what is happening here?
Oh God, these old stories.
This is a company, not a family, and not all roles get to party.
Karma's a bitch.